Hi Copic fans, I have a fun treat for you today. I have a new product that I'm going to share with you. This is one that Imagination International is carrying now. So I am going to use my Copic markers as part of this project, but it's kind of a side piece. The product that I'm going to show you how to use today is called Hot Ribbon, and it is this little strips of ribbon. They come in all different colors. The beauty of it, of course, is like anything else, you can color it with your Copic markers. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of that today. The packages actually come with some great detailed instructions inside on how to do this. There's two methods. You can do some direct application and you can do a transfer application, which is what I'm going to do today. It's a little more complicated, but definitely I think worth the effort. I'm going to give it a try. This is actually my first attempt, and so we'll make some mistakes along the way, I am sure. But what I've done is I've set this up. This is just a tempered glass, clear glass sheet. It's a crafting one that I found. I've taped my design underneath. So I got this great sticker in one of my Copic orders. I enlarged it on just my printer, home printer, about 200%. And then I taped this underneath the glass. So it's underneath. I'm working on top of the glass. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack down, just tack with a craft iron. So I have this little iron guy. Imagination International actually does this little handheld. It's a tiny triangle clover iron that works really well for this. But I'm going to give this a try and see if this works. So the process for this is I'm going to tack this down on my design, and then I will actually transfer it to a t-shirt. This can be adhered onto any of your paper crafts, but it can also be adhered onto fabric permanently. So I am going to try adhering this onto fabric today, onto a t-shirt, and I'm going to make my own custom Copic t-shirt. So we'll see how that works. Your guess is as good as mine. We'll see how effective I am with my hot ribbon today. But the idea is that I'm going to lay it right on top and tack it down so I kind of get everything in place together. And then I'll peel it up off of here because I've only done this temporary, and tack it down and permanently place it on my shirt. Have no idea. We'll give it a go. So I discover pretty quick that tacking this onto the glass is not as simple as it sounds. I definitely do better trimming the ribbon first and then tacking it down. My next thing is to try to go around some of these curved letters, and you're going to see a couple attempts and then I'm going to skip that. I'll come back to my solution. So I have this beautiful silver hot ribbon, and I am coloring it with an R29, and I'm going to start trimming it and placing it on my heart. And I'm doing this in straight little strips, and I trim off the corners. So this is working pretty good because I definitely want it to be the right size, and so I am tacking it down and trimming as I go, and I kind of flip side to side so I can get those angles coming up the edges of the heart. I'm coloring more ribbon at this point and coming back because I can tell it is going to work. So flipping from side to side, getting those angles going the right way. I'm not super exact, but this was more about experimenting with this hot ribbon and seeing if it would work. But I'm just tacking down one end, and then I come over and trim off the other side. And then as I get to the top, obviously I'm gonna hit a point where I have to separate into the two humps of the heart. And so I'm doing this in two little segments going up on their own. But it's working pretty well at this point. Just going straight with the ribbon actually works really well on the glass, and it seems to be creating a solid shape. And so I'm excited that it's at this point seems to be doing what it wants to do. As I got to the top, I actually had to cut the ribbon along the vertical So I did cut it even thinner, and it worked really well. It still cut and didn't fray. You can see I just peeled off the eye, and look at that, it stayed all together. The heart, literally all but one or two little tiny of the top hump pieces came off all in one fell swoop. I actually used a table knife to scrape up the one edge, but it did. It was just enough sticky to stick together. And then I am just eyeballing it. I am going for it, and I'm going to tack that ribbon to the fabric. Again, I'm still just tacking at this point. If I needed to, I could peel up. But the ribbon is sticking even better to the fabric than it did the glass, and so these curves, now I can work my way around and keep it all continuous. You can see I'm actually peeling up that corner edge to kind of tuck that O in, and I realize my O is not perfectly square, but it worked. The P works really well. Again, you've got some nice long straight edges and these tiny curves at the one end, but the curve worked fine on the fabric. I could work around. I trim it right off. I'm trying not to do a ton of overlap. That was one thing they kind of cautioned against. My eye comes in at that angle, and then I've got one more C to kind of work my way around. As I go, I definitely got more confident at this, and it was much easier as I got going. But then I thought it'd be really fun to have the eye with that sparkly red too. So I came back with my glass because it was still, obviously the image was still attached, and attached that on. So I could get a good round little circle. I just peeled that one up with my fingernail, kind of made sure it was all together. And then I'm going to use, you have to use like a heat safe paper or something on top of this. I'm using parchment paper, like cooking parchment paper, and now I'm using a regular iron, medium to high setting, and you need to go over the image at least about 45 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds is what I read on the instructions. So I'm just going back and forth, obviously small circles so it doesn't sit solid, but over this image so all of it gets a good 30 to 45 seconds and really sets. So all finished. It's going to be a little bit of a choppy video because obviously I had some hiccups along the way. And what I'll do is I'll voice over and I'll explain kind of the process I went through. So I've already gotten through that. But I have a little shirt. I love Copic, which I do. It's not perfect, but actually it's pretty darn close. So I thought this was a really fun product to work with. It would definitely take some practice, so I wouldn't count on your first ones turning out perfect. That you might take a little practice on the fabric. On my personal blog, I will probably have some samples, or at least one sample of this on a card too. You can use this on a paper project. Obviously, it's more purposefully made for fabric because we can now wash this once you've heat set that. So thanks for joining me this week, and a fun new product that again you can color with your Copic markers. I will let you know how well this washes up because usually we are not coloring things that are going through the washing machine. So thanks for joining me this week. Have a happy, colorful week.